Good evening, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. This is Rich again, back for your third and final video blog of the night for Saturday, August 1st, 2015, around 8:29 p.m. in Billerica, Massachusetts. The sun is going down. It was a nice day, low humidity, but the humidity is going to be creeping up before we know it again. It's going to be hot again. It's summer, but get out and enjoy it because I heard it could be an early fall or an early winter. Some news to report. Red Sox CEO Larry Lucchini will be stepping down from that position at the end of the season when his contract expires. That's about it on that. My third and final video blog subject of the night is my personality profile. Tonight's personality profile is WWE Hall of Famer Terry Funk. Terry Funk's been in the world of sports entertainment for over 50 years. He's still going strong, and he's been retired so many times and stuff, but he comes back and stuff because he loves to wrestle and stuff. He's a hardcore legend. He does moonsaults at 71 years old. He used to be an NWA World Champion, an ECW World Champion, and other accomplishments. Terry Funk was born in Amarillo, Texas. He comes from a professional wrestling family. His father, the late great Dory Funk Sr., was a trainer, a pro wrestler, and ran the Amarillo territory. And his brother, Dory Funk Jr., is an NWA World Champion and fellow WWE Hall of Famer. Terry started wrestling in the mid-60s. He was trained by his father, Dory Funk Sr. He wrestled in the Amarillo territory, and then he wrestled all over the United States and stuff. His famous move was a spinning toe hold. He was a technical heel wrestler and stuff. And he was getting respected in the business, being like a technical wrestler who cheated and stuff. And Terry had a couple of matches in New York for Madison Square Garden in the early 70s and stuff. He didn't have a run in the AWA though. But Terry was getting so respected in the business, and a lot of people were pegging him as future NWA World Champion. By 1975, he was a top candidate for the NWA World Championship to be the next NWA World Champion. And the committee voted Terry Funk to become the next NWA World Champion by beating out Fritz von Erich by one vote. And Fritz von Erich voted for Terry Funk to be the NWA World Champion besides him because Fritz von Erich still was wrestling. He was running world-class championship wrestling. On December 10th, 1975, Terry Funk beat Jack Briscoe with the spinning toe hold to win the NWA World title, and for the next 14 months, Terry Funk defended the NWA World title all across the world. He defended against Harley Race, Rocky Johnson, Wahoo McDaniel, Jack Briscoe, Jerry Briscoe, Giant Bubba, Jerry the King Lawler, and Dusty Rhodes. He had a legendary feud with Dusty Rhodes, and Terry Funk would always say, "You egg-sucking dog, you Dusty Rhodes, you." And Terry Funk continued on to be NWA World Champion, but his title reign was cut a little short when he lost it to Harley Race in Toronto at Maple Leafs Garden in February of 1977, which was disappointing because people were pegging Terry Funk to hold at least a couple of years. His brother Dory Funk Jr., which I'll profile tomorrow, held for over 4.5 years. But Terry briefly took time off from wrestling to film a movie, Paradise Alley, which came out in 1978, starring Sylvester Stallone. Then Terry started splitting his time between the United States and Japan. He's a legend in Japan. Terry Funk's probably the most famous foreign wrestler from the United States to wrestle in Japan. He's a fan favorite there. He wrestled for several years, probably about 10 weeks a year in Japan. He's legendary there. And he wrestled still in the States and stuff. In September of 1980, Terry Funk was slated to come to the WWF to feud with Bob Backlund to have a 3-match series at Madison Square Garden and around the Horn in Boston and Philadelphia. He was supposed to have the Grand Wizard of Wrestling as his manager, but Terry Funk and WWF owner Vince McMahon Sr. could not come to an agreement because Terry had so much Japan commitments, and it would have been very tough to work out. At the end, he couldn't do it. So he said, "No thanks, Vince McMahon Sr." I think that would have been a great feud between Terry Funk and Bob Backlund over the WWF title. I think it would have been a 3-match series, with probably Funk winning by disqualification the first time, Bob Backlund winning by disqualification the second time, and they would have a steel cage match or a blow off where Bob Backlund would have beat Terry Funk for the third and final match. And in 1981, Terry Funk went to Memphis, the CWA, and he feuded with Jerry the King Lawler for many months there. And they had an empty arena match at the Mid-South Coliseum. And Terry Funk's some of his promo work with like Jerry the King Lawler piping up the matches were great. He called Jerry the King Lawler a baby baner. And afterwards, Terry Funk continued Japan and some independence and other stuff. And in 1984, Terry actually retired for the first time. And he actually filmed a television series called Wild Side of Western for ABC, which only lasted 6 episodes in 1985. He also was a color man for Pro Wrestling USA, but Terry Funk got the wrestling bug back in him. 1985, the summer of 1985, Terry Funk debuts in the world, the recognized leader in sports entertainment, the WWE, and he made his debut on Championship Wrestling at that time. Vince McMahon and Bruno Sammartino acknowledged Terry Funk as being a top wrestler who faced them all. His debut match with the WWE, he wrestles a preliminary wrestler, and when he was giving the ring, his hat and his ring attire to the ring attendant, Mel Phillips puts on his cowboy hat. Terry Funk takes offense to it and beats up Mel Phillips like crazy and stuff. That was just to start a feud with the Junkyard Dog. Terry Funk recruits Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hard as his manager, and Terry Funk and the Junkyard Dog have a feud over in the WWE. Terry Funk carries a branding iron. He beats up Junkyard Dog, brands him many times. And in the spring of, and in like the winter of 1985-86, Terry Funk has a few matches with Hulk Hogan. They had one in Saturday Night's main event. And in the winter, I think February of 1986, on an edition of Championship Wrestling, was Junkyard Dog against Terry Funk. And Terry Funk's brother, Dory Funk Jr., comes to the WWE and attacks the Junkyard Dog, and then Terry Funk and Dory Funk, which they call Hoss, team up together, and they face off against the Junkyard Dog and Andre Giant's few house shows. At WrestleMania 2 was the Junkyard Dog and Tito Santana against Dory Funk Jr., now known as Hoss, and Terry Funk and Dory Funk Jr., Terry Funk and Hoss win when they hit the megaphone and they pinned Tito Santana. After WrestleMania 2, Terry Funk left WWE because he got tired of the road. He was leaving to film a movie, Over the Top, which came out in 1987, starring Sylvester Stallone. And Terry Funk, for the next couple of years, wrestles for a few independents, including Championship Wrestling for Florida and smaller regional territories, but he still commits to Japan and stuff, and Terry Funk's a legend in Japan. In 1989, Terry Funk makes a comeback in the world of professional wrestling. Signs with WCW. He makes his debut at Clash of Champions 5 as a color man for the Ric Flair, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat 2 out of 3 fall match. Main event for the NWA World title. Terry Funk was great on commentary. The next month, Flair and Steamboat have a match again, and this time they had judges, and Terry Funk was one of the judges. Ric Flair wins the NWA World title for the 6th time, and Terry Funk congratulates Ric Flair, and he wanted to challenge Ric Flair for the NWA World title, but Ric Flair was saying, "You rubbed shoulders with Sylvester Stallone, you're retired, no thank you." And Terry Funk says he was kidding, and they shook hands, but Terry Funk attacks Ric Flair, beats him up, puts the pile driver on him on the table, and Terry Funk makes a comeback. And Ric Flair and Terry Funk have a feud over the NWA World Title for several months. They had a great match at Great American Bash 1989 in Baltimore, classic. They eventually interjected Stain and Great Muta and Dick Slater into this feud. Terry Funk had Gary Hart as his manager. And one time, Terry Funk had an extreme move, put a plastic bag on Ric Flair's face during a Clash of Champions. It was awful. It was too extreme. TBS got a lot of complaints about showing that match, and they were almost going to yank WCW off the air on TBS, but they didn't. And then Terry Funk and Great Muta wrestled Sting and Ric Flair at the first Halloween Havoc in the Thunder Cage, which was electrifying. It was a great match. Bruno Sammartino was the referee. And then this feud culminated at Clash of Champions 10 New York Knockout, where Ric Flair faced off against Terry Funk for the NWA World Title in an I Quit match, and Terry Funk says if he could not beat Ric Flair, he would quit professional wrestling. And Ric Flair beat Terry Funk in a very classic match. Afterwards, Ric Flair and Terry Funk shake hands, and Terry Funk retires from wrestling. Then Terry Funk becomes a color man for WCW and Worldwide. He teams with Chris Cruz. Plus, he has his own interview segment called Funk's Grill, which was kind of a Piper's Pit type stuff. Plus, he was on the WCW booking committee. But that didn't last too long. In April of 1990, Terry Funk leaves WCW, and he goes back wrestling again. He unretires. He wrestles in several independents in Japan, and he starts a hardcore stuff on the independent circuit, wrestling Eddie Gilbert in several matches and stuff. In November of 1990, Terry goes to the USWA, feuds with Jerry the King Lawler. He becomes the unified champion in USWA. Jerry the King Lawler has about 4-month reign with that USWA unified title, but he loses it back to Jerry the King Lawler. Then he goes off again to Japan and the United States independents, and some of these independent shows, he starts a feud with Cactus Jack McFoley, and they have several hardcore matches. Baseball bat matches, barbed wire matches, false count anywhere matches, garbage matches, you name it. And these are hardcore matches. But Japan, these matches get more extremer. Thumbtack matches, fire matches, exploding ring matches. Cactus Jack and Terry Funk wrestled years in these matches, and they were classics. Classics. And in the fall of 1993, Terry Funk was rumored to be coming back to the WWE. He was going to be one of the Knights of the Squared Circle for Jerry the King Lawler at Survivor Series 1993. And they faced off against the Hart brothers, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, Keith Hart, and Bruce Hart. But Terry Funk quit, did not even sign. I heard there was problems. And Terry Funk was promised a spot on WWE's booking committee, but Vince McMahon backed off on that, and Terry Funk couldn't do it because he said he had a sick horse. Well, he had to do with money. Then Terry Funk wrestles and starts wrestling for ECW, Eastern Championship Wrestling, which turns into Extreme Championship Wrestling when he's a big fan favorite there because everybody loves his hardcore wrestling style. And in spring of 1994, Terry comes back to WCW. And he wrestles at Slamboree 94 against Tully Blanchard. They had a good match. And when they introduced the Legends, Terry Funk didn't show up. He wasn't there. He says he didn't want to be with the Legends. He still could go. And he's talked about feuding with Dustin Rhodes, Dusty's son. And he's still called Dusty an egg-sucking dog. And then later on, Terry Funk joins the Stud Stable with Arn Anderson and Bunkhouse Buck and Colonel Rob Parker and Maine, and they have a decent feud with Dusty Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, which culminated in a War Games match at Fall Brawl 1994, where Dustin Rhodes, and the Nasty Boys beat up on Colonel Parker and Bunkhouse Buck, Arn Anderson, and Terry Funk. Terry Funk stays in WCW to the end of the year, and he leaves to go to ECW again. Still continues to feud with Cactus Jack, and then develops a protege by the name of Tommy Dreamer. He and Tommy Dreamer like are buddies and stuff, and Terry Funk was deciding to retire from professional wrestling again, saying 1997 was going to be his final year in the world of professional wrestling. ECW dedicated 1997 to build the first ever barely legal pay-per-view for Terry Funk to win the world title for ECW. Terry Funk was in his early 50s, and at the first ECW pay-per-view barely legal, he beats the Sandman and Stevie Richards in a three-way dance, which went way over the allowed time, and then he beats Raven to win the ECW World title, and Terry Funk wins it. A few seconds later after that match, the power at the ECW arena went off. They avoided a major disaster. At 52 years old, Terry Funk was a world champion once again. He held the ECW World title for a few months, losing it to Sabu in August of 1997 in a barbed wire match. And next month, September of 1997, Terry Funk wrestles his last match against Bret the Hitman Hart at the 50 Years of Funk Family Wrestling event at Amarillo Fairgrounds in Amarillo, Texas. Special guest referee was Dennis Stamp, Terry Funk's longtime friend. Originally, Dennis Stamp was not going to do this because he says he was not booked. But Terry Funk gave him the money. And that was Terry Funk's last professional wrestling match. To a couple of months later, when the WWE called and say, we have a good gimmick for you. You could be Cactus Jack's friends. You could come carry a chainsaw and wear like pantyhose around your face and be called Chainsaw Charlie. Chainsaw Charlie made his debut on Raw on December 29th, 1997 in a match between Cactus Jack and the New Age Outlaws. Chainsaw Charlie comes out of a box, and everybody was calling Terry, Terry, Terry. And Chainsaw Charlie and Cactus Jack feud with the New Age Outlaws, the Road Dogg, Jesse James, Badass Billy Gunn over the WWE Tag Team titles for a few months. Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie had a classic hardcore match on Raw in February 1998. They battled all over the arena and up to the Raw stage into a dumpster, but the New Age Outlaws got them in, had locked the dumpster and threw them over the stage. There's people in there, Jim Ross said to the crowd. Then all the wrestlers come down and they think Terry Funk and Cactus Jack was seriously hurt. They brought the ambulance out, but this was part of the storyline. Cactus Jack and Chainsaw Charlie come back later on in gurneys and stuff and Johnnies and beating up on the New Age Outlaws. This continued into WrestleMania 14 when Terry Funk and Cactus Jack faced off against the Outlaws in the dumpster match. They beat the Outlaws for the WWE Tag Team titles, but they put the Outlaws in illegal dumpster, so the titles had to be vacated. And the next night on Raw, they had a steel cage match for the vacant WWE Tag Team titles, the New Age Outlaws against Cactus Jack and Terry Funk, and DX interfered, and the New Age Outlaws won the WWE Tag Team titles once again. Then Terry Funk sticks around for the WWE for a few more months before he leaves again and retires. But his retirement's not for long, and in November of 1998 he comes back to ECW, this time as a heel, this time feuding with Tommy Dreamer, and he had a new protege, Just Incredible, feuding with Tommy Dreamer. I think Tommy Dreamer and Terry Funk were going to have a match at Guilty as Charged 1999, but Terry Funk fell ill because he had hepatitis. Terry Funk wrestled a few months in 1999, then he retired again, this time for good, but it didn't last long. Around this time, Terry Funk was a feature subject on a documentary movie called Beyond the Mat, which he was they filmed his last year in wrestling, supposedly in 1997, showed him lead down his daughter getting married and stuff, which was a good movie. 2000, Terry Funk goes back to WCW as WCW commissioner. He forms the Old Age Outlaws group with old-time wrestlers. He even wins the United States Championship. Sticks around for WCW until it closes down in 2001. And then Terry goes back to the independent circuit for many times. And retires, comes back, retires, comes back, retires, comes back. You get the point. He retires, but the promoters have more money for him and stuff. And Terry Funk even said he would never retire and stuff because he still loves the world of professional wrestling. In 2005, his book came out, which is a good autobiography. He returns to the WWE in 2006 briefly when they have the ECW brand return. And he revives his feud with Cactus Jack again for a few weeks. And then Terry Funk continues on the independent circuit and films a lot of shoot interviews, DVDs and stuff, which were pretty good. 2009, he gets inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame with his brother Dory Funk Jr. He was like inducted by his longtime rival, you egg-sucking dog, you Dusty Rhodes. But he never called Dusty Rhodes an egg-sucking dog during the Hall of Fame ceremony and stuff. And Terry continues to wrestle to this day again. He's retired so many times and stuff. And he's probably never going to truly retire from the world of professional wrestling until he's 6 feet under and stuff like that. Terry Funk's a celebrity. He's even been in movies. He's been in Roadhouse. He's even appeared on a few television shows, Thunder in Paradise and stuff. He's been a spokesman for Amarillo Television for a few times. He's even been offered a few times to run in for public office in his city of Amarillo, but he does not want to do it and stuff. He's been married to his wife Vicky for many years. They have 2 daughters and stuff. And he's the younger brother of Dory Funk Jr., which I'm going to profile tomorrow. Terry Funk is one of the legends of professional wrestling. He's probably the hardcore legend and stuff. He had a great run as NWA World Champion for about 14 months. He should have held that belt longer and stuff, but I think it was politics and stuff. And he had a creative mind and stuff. He was an underrated colored man for WCW and stuff, and he was a good booker and stuff. He could have booked the WWE in 1994, but he backed off on that. Overall, Terry Funk has had a legendary career in WWE, WCW, and other territories and stuff. Very surprised WWE's never released a DVD of Terry Funk, but I don't think they will, but you never know. That's about it on that, and that's about it on these video blogs, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Tomorrow, 3 more video blogs are coming for you. First video blog will be about the top 10 greatest sports play-by-play announcers in Chicago sports teams. Second video blog will be about Tremonte's restaurant and pizzeria in Lowell, Massachusetts. And third and final video blog of the night will be about WWE Hall of Famer Dory Funk Jr. Keep calm, and I'm a Julie Brennan guy. Molly Rosenblatt, the Fox 35 Rocks. And the words Dr. Sean Mashaki, this action will not be tolerated in BMHS. And 14 more days until first ever Ask Rich question and answer video blog. So Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, start sending in the questions right now because I have a few, but I want more and more. Like people say, the more the merrier. Good night. See you tomorrow.